Hey everyone, welcome to Celebrity Rap Showroom. If you're into raw, unfiltered celebrity moments and hip-hop drama, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. One of the city's most feared martial figures, a man whose very name kept entire crime syndicates from breathing too loudly. Hey everyone, welcome to Celebrity Rap Showroom. If you're into raw, unfiltered celebrity moments and hip-hop drama, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But that day, something different happened. Now imagine this. The crowded streets of Harbor City, that humid buzz in the air, the chatter of markets, the roar of engines, and in the middle of all that chaos, a young man standing face to face with Eric Dalton's people. His name, Logan Fraser. A man who didn't care who your family was or how powerful your ancestors might have been. He looked the Dalton men straight in the eye and said, "He's the one who started it. He's the one who kept causing trouble for me. Not only did I have to fight here, I also had to risk getting warts just to record videos of him. You need to pay me at least $150 million for all that suffering." The crowd gasped. You could feel it. The audacity. The raw nerve of someone talking like that to the Dalton family. One of the men barked back, veins pulsing on his neck. "How dare you?" But Logan didn't flinch. He stood his ground, a faint smirk dancing at the corner of his lips. Then someone from the Dalton side muttered, half in fear, half in disbelief, "This inner strength, it's actually stronger than mine." That was the first time anyone had seen someone stand toe-to-toe with the Daltons and not crumble. But Logan didn't just stop there. He pushed the moment even further. "If you still want to fight, I'm game," he said coolly. "But if you don't, then just pay up $200 million. I'll hand over the photos and videos." And when the man shouted, "Wasn't it $150 million just now?" Logan didn't even blink. $250 million. He said. That's when another voice, older, calmer, yet more dangerous, spoke up. "Mr. Fraser, this is not the time to rip the Dalton family off." But Logan only shrugged. "I'll keep going if you don't pay up. Send by million." The Dalton soldiers glanced at each other. Someone whispered, "Uncle Brian giving you concussion or something?" And from the corner, that same cold voice answered, "Uncle Brian, all right, $300 million it is. Deal?" Then came a chilling command, echoing like thunder in that tense street. "Bang him. Just kill them." But another voice stopped him. "I can't kill this kid. The best outcome is both of us end up injured. Besides, I can't risk the Dalton family's reputation." The Daltons stepped back, calculating. You could see the conflict behind their eyes, anger clashing with fear, pride battling with caution. Logan's expression never changed. He adjusted his sleeves like nothing had happened, the faintest breeze brushing past him as if the universe itself respected his calm. Then someone muttered, "Let's get the photos and videos back before we do anything else." And that's when Logan said the words that echoed across Harbor City. Going up against the Dalton family isn't exactly a smart move. And Logan smiled, that cold, quiet smile, and replied, "Do you think the Dalton family picking a fight with me is any smarter?" The street fell silent. No one dared to breathe. Now, I don't know if you've ever been close to real power before. Oh. But when two forces like that collide, the air itself feels heavier. And in that moment, everyone watching New Harbor City had just changed forever. Later that night, the Daltons gathered in their grand hall. Tall marble pillars, gold accents glinting under warm light, the air thick with pride and fury. "You're the heir of the Dalton family." One of the elders thundered. "You took so many men with you and still got humiliated. You've completely disgraced the Dalton name." Carter Dalton bowed his head, bruised but burning with vengeance. "I underestimated him," he muttered. "He's a lot stronger than I expected." Then Eric Dalton, the patriarch himself rose from his seat. His voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of a mountain. "You don't need to worry about this anymore. Leave everything to me. I'll restore the Dalton family Shanor myself." That's the kind of promise that only means one thing: blood. Meanwhile, across town, the morning sun bled into the windows of a small apartment where Logan sat having breakfast. "Wow," someone said. "Breakfast is ready. Smells pretty good. Remember Mrs. Walters I mentioned last time?" Another replied, "I invited her over this time." Logan's friend frowned. "But you humiliated Carter. You've basically offended the entire Dalton family. According to how ruthless Eric Dalton is, he's not going to let you off so easily." Logan just smiled faintly, still eating, his tone calm like the surface of a still lake hiding deep currents. "Relax. You just have to focus on your work. I'll handle the rest." But fate, as it always does in stories like this, had other plans. Because in that same room, just hours later, everything would turn to ashes. It started small. Just a comment about the food. Mrs. Walters' famous crispy chicken drumsticks. Logan grinned. "Haven't had these in ages." "So, you don't like my cooking?" His friend teased. "Nope, you can't beat Mrs. Walters." They laughed. But laughter can be cruel when tragedy hides behind it. Because the moment he took a bite, his face changed. His hand trembled. "This chicken leg," he gasped. His poison. The laughter froze. "Are you kidding me? You can't just say something like that. Ask her if you don't believe me." Then his tone turned to steel. "Eat it. Eat it, Mrs. Walters." The woman's hands shook, her eyes filled with guilt. "Miss Sutton made me do it," she confessed, voice breaking. "It's a mixed poison. It's spreading fast." Panic filled the room. Someone shouted for an ambulance. But Logan already knew there was no time. He pressed his palm against her chest, channeling energy. His voice strained but steady. "We need to detox her immediately." His own body began to tremble as he drew out the poison, taking it into himself. Sweat poured down his temples as he whispered, "Even though I'm immune to toxins, it still takes time to neutralize it. I'll probably need to blow in the 8th realm for the next couple of days." He looked out the window then, eyes cold, heart burning. Only the Dalton family would do something like this. And that's when everyone knew this wasn't over. This was only the beginning. It's been 3 months. The seal has finally lifted. Let's go. Say those words out loud and feel what they carry. Hope mixed with fear. For Logan, it means a moment he's been waiting 15 years for. A crack in whatever kept his past bound. For Anna, it's another notch on a life that keeps demanding she choose between the company she built and the people she loves. They step into a world that's applauding them. Everyone's talking about Advance's progress. The way the Fraser Group's new artificial skeleton project could change lives. Grant limbs to those who'd lost them. Bring function back to hands and knees that had gone still. People clap and say nice things, but the applause is thin when it's measured against the kind of enemies they've made. You've seen things. It's already been neutralized. Hey, where's Logan? Don't tell me he's getting into trouble again. Someone cracks a joke and the mood tries to lift, but you can sense the edges. The way this city honors invention and then quietly devours the inventors who get too close to the top. It's family moments too. The Fraser Group is proud. They're showing off prototypes and hugging each other and whispering plans for a celebration. We should throw a party tonight to celebrate and reward everyone's efforts. And they mean it. Food, music, the comfort of people who built something together. Anna tells someone to fetch Logan. She's thinking family and gratitude in the same breath. A strange human thing to balance when you're standing on the edge of the next catastrophe. My family's throwing a party tonight. There's definitely going to be a ton of cakes you love. Then the scene shifts. Power dresses itself up in a suit and walks into the room with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. "Mr. Dalton, you won't mind me dropping by unannounced." "Mr. Dalton, what brings you here today?" And Mr. Dalton, Carter Dalton, sits like he was born to be a problem. He talks about partnership, about bringing the Fraser technology under the umbrella of the Daltons. It's a classic proposition. Work with us or be swallowed by us. The Fraser family's artificial skeleton project has already caught the attention of every major family in town. This technology is truly a groundbreaking achievement ahead of its time. That's why Mr. Dalton hopes we can work together on this project for mutual benefit. Logan listens. Anna watches. Their instincts say no. But you don't always get to answer with instincts in this town. Contracts, threats, calm, smiles. All the same thing here. If the terms are right, you'll be hammered to continue with its research and development. The Fraser family will be given 5% of any future profits. 5%. The room laughs on the inside. That is robbery disguised as generosity. There's no way we can accept these terms. Logan stands up like the room is his own heart. Raw and immediate. "I clearly haven't realized the situation you're in. I'm not here to negotiate." But Mr. Dalton doesn't need niceties. He's practiced with steel. Those who support us thrive. Those who go against us die. There it is. The truth. Soft as a lullaby and twice as deadly. Mr. Dalton wants patents, control, the formula, and the majority of the company. He frames it 3 ways. So, his offer sounds like a mercy wrapped in inevitability. "What I want is the patent rights to Skyer's formula and technology and 51% of the Sutton Corporation's shares." You could hear the intake across the room. That's the real ask, the takeover, the end game. And as jaw tightens, "I will never give up Skycure. And I will never join the Dalton family either." She says it like a vow. The crowd I'm telling this to, if they haven't seen the footage, they can imagine the way she says it. Small, strong, like iron wrapped in silk. Then the betrayal I promised slithers into the room. Mr. Dalton has a mediator. Victor Shelton, the retired man who still polishes the edges of old favors. Victor plays the good cop. He tries to smooth the edges, but the room has too much smoke for anyone to clean. Mr. Dalton. Just like we discussed before, let's put our rivalry behind us and work together. The Dalton lobby leans forward. The shelter offers a piece that smells like strategy. Victor predisposes a compromise. Compensation, exclusive Oply rights, priority sales. He tries to make it sound tidy. "I'm willing to offer $150 million in compensation and guarantee priority supply of the Skyer." Good gestures, empty promises when the real ask is ownership. "But what I want is the patent rights to Skyer's formula and technology and 51% of the Sutton Corporation's shares." That's the part they call settling. But everyone knows the language of seizure. Anna's resistance becomes louder. Is there really any difference between what Mr. Dalton is asking for and just handing over Skyer and the Sutton Corporation? She calls it out for what it is. "What I want is exactly that." Isn't the only reason that the Dalton family agreed to this negotiation so we could come to a compromise and be at peace to mean expected you to agree anyway? Underneath those words, the whole hierarchy of the city shifts. Who gets to breathe? We gets to decide who lives. The plot thickens. Anna is led into a trap implied by Victor and Carter. They drag her into a setup where she sees that alliances aren't made of hands, but of leverage. "I'm sorry, Miss Sutton. I had no choice but to trick you into coming here today. Since Mr. Dalton gave the order, I had no choice but to obey." This is where the crowd leans in. you start to see the angles. Logan rushes or he doesn't. You feel that old, carved sense that fate doesn't give men two chances. Outside, allies whisper and mobilize. Inside, words sharpened to knives. First, he humiliated my son. Then, he messed the Dalton family's business. It's about time to settle all these scores with him. But somewhere, Stephen, the city's small human choices. Family members, refugees, and old oath-keepers still believe in one thing: protect the weak. Benji, your men, those who once served other masters, they begin to shift beneath the weight of what Logan's done. Then this happens. A strike so dirty, they call it theater. Food poisoned in a quiet home. Mrs. Walters, the old cook, collapses. And Logan sucks the poison out of her with his own body, exposing the Daltons' cruelty to anyone watching. This chicken leg is poisoned. Everyone panics. Logan fights the invisible toxin and in doing so shows a piece of himself people weren't ready to see. Even though I'm immune to toxins, it still takes time to neutralize it. I'll probably need to blow in the 8th realm for the next couple of days. He says it like a curse, like a necessary sacrifice that will leave him ragged. But he does it because that's who he is. Protector and lightning rod in a city of storms. Now watch the turn. Benji, once a Riverstone lieutenant, switches sides. He returns stolen supplies and offers protection. The stock spikes. The company breathes. For a moment, triumph appears. Finally, Benji returned the supplies to us and is now protecting the Sutton Corporation. After the expansion of the SkyCure Group into overseas markets, orders have skyrocketed. The stock price has shot up as well. You could almost hear the city exhale, but victory is slippery. The Dalton family doesn't respect luck. They respect results. They raid, they threaten. They mobilize all the muscle you can imagine. Carter's men threaten assassination. Edgar Hollis falls like a puppet. The Riverstone League seems to break, then rebuilds under Logan's unexpected leadership. Keeping you around doesn't really do me any good. The Dalton family has martial artists. I think the Sutton Corporation owes the Riverstone League an explanation. Loops upon loops, betrayals, offers, reoffers, muscle plays, and market plays. All lined up like dominoes. And yet, in the middle of this, Anna sits with Logan like two people taking the same breath together. One hand on a prototype, one hand on the future. They can hear the city's gears grinding. And they both stubborn, human, resolute. Choose the harder path. Resilience, not surrender. I will not let the Sutton Corporation be destroyed by an arrogant kid like you. They push, she pushes back. He stands up, and their little fragile world holds. So, what's next? The Daltons don't stop. They escalate. Men and plans move at night. But the seed has been planted. Logan's not just a guard. He's a reckoning and is not just a scientist. She's a storm. And that, my friends, is where we leave this act. The city breathing hard. The players circling. The next fight already on the horizon. When we left off, Logan and Anna had just survived the poison, the schemes, the threats that would have broken anyone else. But peace in this city, that's an illusion. The moment it feels quit, it's only because somebody's sharpening a blade in the dark. And sure enough, that blade's name is Carter Dalton. Now, imagine this. It's late evening. The skyline's burning gold with sunset. But the air feels wrong, like a calm that don't belong to peace, but to a trap in a luxury suite high above the city. Grampy's Hotel, of course. Carter's sitting there waiting. He's got that corporate king posture, jacket folded perfectly. A drink in hand and eyes that could pierce steel. He's not here for celebration. He's here for control. Across from him stands Victor Shelton, the same man who once pretended to be neutral. You can tell from the way. He keeps glancing at the door that he knows something's coming. Something bad. "Mr. Dalton, I did exactly as you asked." Victor starts carefully. "I got Anna here. She didn't see it coming." Carter's lips curl. Not a smile. More like a warning that he's already 5 moves ahead. "You did your job," he says flatly. "But don't start thinking that earns you mercy." And just like that, Victor knows the truth. You don't bargain with wolves. You just survive them long enough to regret it. Carter rises slow, deliberate. The sound of his shoes against the marble is like a drumbeat of arrogance. "The Fraser family turned down my offer. The Sutton defied me. Even the Riverstone League bends to that bodyguard's will. I will not be mocked in my own city." He slams his glass down. Shards scatter and there's blood on his palm, but he doesn't even flinch. Now, here's where it gets tense, because out there in the streets, word's spreading fast. People are whispering. Logan's alive. He saved the cook. He exposed the Daltons. In a city like this, stories spread faster than bullets. And when a man like Carter Dalton hears a story that don't praise him, he turns it into a war. Meanwhile, back at the Sutton Corporation, the air is heavy. The kind of heavy you only feel when everyone's pretending not to be scared. Anna's in her office, staring at a new set of reports. Numbers, projections, all the ways her company's finally rising again. But her eyes keep drifting to that one empty chair across the room. Logan's chair. You can almost see her thoughts. Where is he now? Is he coming back? Can I do this without him? That's when the door bursts open. And who walks in but Logan himself, covered in dust, eyes sharp, wearing that half-torn jacket that's seen more chaos than most men ever will. The moment their eyes meet, it's like time folds in on itself. Relief, anger, gratitude, guilt, all crashing together. "You're alive," Anna says quietly. "Takes more than poison and politics to kill me." Logan replies, voice steady but worn. "Takes to kill me." Logan replies, voice steady but worn. They share a silence that says everything words can't. The kind that carries history, not just between them, but between everything they've lost and everything they still might win. Then Anna slides a file across the desk. "You should see this." Inside are the latest reports. Sky Year sales exploding overseas. Stock soaring. The company thriving like never before. "We're finally breaking through," she says softly. "Even Benji came back. He's protecting us now." Logan nods. But you can see the worry beneath the calm. "That's good," he says. "But don't trust momentum. It hides the ambush." And he's right. Because while they're sitting there, savoring their small victory, Carter Dalton is already laying the groundwork for revenge. Across town, Carter's hosting a meeting. The room's full of men in suits who smell like money and fear. He stands at the head of the table, his hand wrapped in a clean bandage now, his voice smooth like oil. "Gentlemen," he begins, "I've let this city forget who built it. I've let the Sutton and their miracle drug run wild. No more." He paces behind him. The city's lights flicker like embers. Sky Cure is valuable, but not because of what it does, because of who controls it. The Sutton will either sign over their patents or they'll be erased. One of the younger executives hesitates, but Mr. Dalton, public sentiment's turning. People see Logan as a hero. Carter cuts him off with a glare that could turn blood cold. "Heroes don't live long in my world." And when he says that, everyone at the table knows this isn't business anymore. It's war. Back at the Sutton estate, the night has fallen deep. Logan's outside training. Movements clean, precise, silent. The kind of discipline that comes from a man who's lost too much to ever rest easy. Anna watches from the window, a mug in her hands. She doesn't interrupt. She just watches because for the first time she sees what kind of man she's truly allied with. Not just a fighter, not just a protector, but someone who's carrying pain like a second heartbeat. "You could have left," she says when he finally comes in, sweat still clinging to his skin. "You could have walked away from all of this." Logan wipes his hands with a towel, eyes steady. "And leave you to face them alone?" he asks. "Not a chance." Anna looks down. The room's quiet, except for the city humming beyond the glass. Then, barely above a whisper, she says, "They'll come for you next." "Let them," he replies. "They'll find out," I bite back. Now, if you were in that room, if you could have felt that energy, you'd know this wasn't just a partnership anymore. This was loyalty forged through fire. This was the start of something that scared men like Carter Dalton more than any weapon ever could. Two people who refused to break. And sure enough, the retaliation comes fast. The Daltons send inspectors, lawyers, saboteurs. They stage false raids, leak fake reports, pay off journalists to smear SkyCure as dangerous, untested, but every lie they throw only makes the truth burn brighter. And behind every headline, Logan's there. Silent, methodical, always 2 steps ahead. Then one night, something shifts. A messenger arrives at the Sutton mansion, trembling, eyes darting, voice barely above a whisper. "Mr. Logan, they've taken Victor Shelton." Logan freezes. The man who once tricked Anna, now caught in the same web. He helped weave. "Where?" Logan asks. "Dalton's private facility. They're making an example out of him." And just like that, the next move becomes clear. Logan doesn't even hesitate. He grabs his jacket, his knife, and heads for the door. Anna steps forward, her voice tight. "If you go after him, you'll be walking straight into their trap." Logan pauses at the doorway, turns back with that half smile, the kind that never reaches his eyes. "Then it's time they learn I'm the wrong man to trap." And with that, he's gone into the night. The crowd murmurs when I tell this part because everyone knows what that means. This isn't about saving Victor. It's about drawing the line that it's about showing Carter, Dalton, and the city that Logan's not just another pawn. He's the storm coming for the throne. You could almost feel the tension in the air that night. Harbor City was restless, the kind of quiet that hums before a thunderstorm. Neon lights flickered on rain-slick streets. Somewhere, a siren wailed and faded into the distance. People in this city didn't need the news to tell them something bad was coming. They could feel it in their bones. And in the middle of all that tension was Logan Fraser. He moved through the night like a ghost. No sound except the steady rhythm of his boots hitting the pavement. A black coat, a face hard as stone, and eyes that had already seen too much. He wasn't going on a rescue mission. Not really. He was going to end something. See, Victor Shelton wasn't innocent. He'd played both sides. Helped Carter Dalton trap Anna Sutton, then tried to beg forgiveness when the tide turned. But even men like Victor didn't deserve what was waiting for them inside Dalton's private compound. Logan knew that. And he knew exactly what kind of monster he was walking into the lion's den to confront. The compound itself sat on the edge of the city, a fortress disguised as a factory. High concrete walls, motion sensors, cameras that blinked like watching eyes. If you didn't know better, you'd think it was just another pharmaceutical lab. But those who did know better, they called it the box, because once you went in, you didn't come out. Inside, Victor was chained to a steel chair under a single light bulb. The room was silent except for the faint hum of electricity and the occasional drip of water from a broken pipe overhead. He was bruised, shaking, half-conscious, but alive. And across from him stood CarterDalton.com, composed, cruel. "You thought you could play both sides, Victor." Carter said softly, almost pitying. "You thought you could betray me and still breathe." Victor tried to speak, but his voice cracked. "Carter, please, I didn't mean." "Don't beg," Carter interrupted. "It's pathetic." Then he leaned closer, his shadow swallowing the light. "You see, this isn't about you anymore. You're just the message. When they find what's left of you, Logan will know. I don't bluff." And then a sound cut through the air. A faint hum like wind or a vibration. Carter froze. One of his guards frowned. "You hear that? Too late." The lights went out. Darkness swallowed the room for 3 long seconds. There was nothing but silence. Then a crash. A guard screamed. Another thud. Then nothing. When the lights flickered back on, the room looked like a hurricane had ripped through it. 2 men down, 1 weapon missing. And standing in the doorway, framed by flickering light, Logan Fraser. His eyes were cold, empty, focused. "You wanted me, Carter," he said quietly. "Here I am." The crowd gasps when I tell this part because they can see it. Carter's smug confidence starting to melt away. Carter straightens, hiding his nerves behind arrogance. "So, the bodyguard shows up after all. I should thank you for saving me the trouble of hunting you down." "You won't have time to hunt anyone," Logan replies. "Not after tonight." The fight that follows. It wasn't a brawl. It was a reckoning. Logan moved like a man possessed. Fast, deliberate, precise. Every hit landed with purpose. Carter's men came at him in waves, and each one fell faster than the last. The guards, who once swaggered with confidence, now scrambled like cornered rats. Carter tried to run. Of course, he did. That's what men like him do when the ground starts to crumble. He sprinted down the corridor, fumbling for his phone, shouting orders that no one was left alive to hear. But when he reached the final door, there was Logan already waiting for him. "Going somewhere?" Carter froze. You can't kill me," he stammered. "I'm the king of this city. You lay a hand on me and everyone will come for you." Logan stepped closer, his shadow swallowing Carter's reflection in the glass. "They already came," he said quietly. "You just didn't notice when they fell." He grabbed Carter by the collar, slamming him against the wall 15 years ago. Logan said through clenched teeth, "You wiped out the Fraser family. You burned our home. You took everything for what? A formula. A lie." Carter's eyes widened. You're the boy. The one who escaped. The last one," Logan said. "And I've been waiting my whole life for this." Now, pause with me for a second, because this is where the story gets heavy. Pause with me for a second, because this is where the story gets heavy. This isn't just vengeance. This is a lifetime of pain spilling over in one heartbeat. Logan could have killed him right there. Nobody would have blamed him. Not after what Carter had done. The betrayals, the deaths, the blood he spilled to keep his empire. But instead, Logan lets go. He drops Carter to the floor. "No," he says, "that's too easy for you. You'll live long enough to watch your kingdom collapse." And then he turns his back just like that and walks away. Carter scrambles up, desperate. Furious, he grabs a hidden pistol from under his desk. "You think you can walk away from me?" He raises the gun, but before he can fire, a shot rings out from the shadows. Anna sudden steps forward, hand trembling, but steady enough to aim. "You've hurt enough people," she says softly. "It ends now." Carter collapses. The gun clatters to the floor. And just like that, the man who ruled Harbor City for decades is gone. Logan turns to her. There's shock in his eyes. Not because she pulled the trigger, but because of what it meant. "You didn't have to do that," he says quietly. "Yes," she replies. Tears in her voice. "I did." The silence that follows isn't peaceful. It's heavy. You can feel the ghosts in it, the memories, the pain. Then Logan reaches out, gently lowering her gun. "It's over," he says. "Let's go home." And together, they walk out, leaving behind the empire of lies that took everything from them. Now, when I tell this part to a crowd, I always pause because it's tempting to think that's the end, that justice has been served. But stories like this, they don't end clean. As they walked into the night, the city lights flickering behind them. There was no celebration. No music, just the sound of rain beginning to fall, washing the blood off the pavement. That's the sound of Harbor City. Never quiet, never forgiving, but somehow still breathing. And for Logan and Anna, that was enough. Because in a world built on betrayal, surviving together was the loudest victory of all. You ever notice that when storms end, the air feels different? Quiet, but not peaceful, like the world's holding its breath. That's how Harbor City felt in the days after Carter Dalton's fall. The king was dead. His empire was gone. But the city didn't know what to do without him. The news broke first thing that morning. Dalton Empire collapses overnight. Screens all over the city flashed with the same headline. Anchors tried to sound composed, but you could hear the disbelief in their voices. The Dalton family, untouchable for decades, had been reduced to ruins in less than 24 hours. People whispered about what happened. Some said the cops finally got to him. Others said rival families staged a coup. But the real story, only a handful of people knew it, and none of them were talking. Logan didn't stick around to explain. He was gone before sunrise. Out on the cliffs at the edge of Harbor City, where the sea met the sky, he stood with the wind in his hair and salt in the air. His coat flapped against him like a flag of a war finally over. But his eyes, they weren't filled with relief. They were hollow because what do you do after revenge? What's left to fight for when the person you've been chasing is gone? He had spent 15 years building himself into a weapon, sharpening every wound, every loss, every sleepless night into a blade pointed straight at the Daltons. But now that blade had no target. And in that silence, he realized something painful. He didn't know how to live like a human anymore. Then footsteps. Anna, she came up behind him, wearing a gray coat, her hair whipping in the wind. She didn't say anything at first, just stood beside him, looking out at the endless ocean. "It's strange," she finally said. "The city feels different without him." Logan nodded. "Quieter, you should feel proud," she said softly. "You kept your promise to your parents, to your family." He didn't respond right away. Instead, he picked up a small stone from the ground, rolling it between his fingers. "When I was a kid," he said, "my father told me vengeance makes you forget who you are." I didn't believe him then, but now I think I do. Anna turned to him. "So what now?" He let the stone fall. It hit the dirt with a small thud. Final, simple. "Now," he said quietly. I try to remember, and that right there, that moment, that's when the real story began. Because as the world was learning how the Dalton Empire crumbled, Logan and Anna were trying to build something from its ashes. The Fraser name, once erased from history, began to surface again. Whispered at first, then spoken aloud, people started learning the truth about Skyer. How it was never a Dalton creation at all, but a stolen project, one born from the blood and brilliance of Logan's family. And as those truths came out, something wild happened. People didn't fear the name Fraser anymore. They respected it. Meanwhile, the government moved fast. Investigations into the Dalton family unearthed years of corruption, secret deals, and medical trials that went wrong. Whole departments were dismantled. Stock markets dipped, then rose again as other families scrambled to fill the void. But through it all, Logan stayed quiet. He didn't care about power. He didn't want control. He just wanted peace, for once. He helped rebuild Skyer under a new name. The new lab wasn't hidden behind armed guards or corporate walls. It was open for researchers, for doctors, for anyone who wanted to make medicine clean again. And when they asked him to take the title of CEO, he refused. "I'm not a businessman," he said. "I'm just someone trying to make things right." Still, the ghosts didn't leave him alone. Some nights, he'd wake up drenched in sweat, hearing his father's voice calling from the flames. Other nights, it was Carter's laughter echoing in his ears. And then there were dreams. Flashes of a little boy, a girl with pigtails, the sound of laughter in a sunlit garden. "Anna," he'd whisper to himself sometimes. "Do you remember that day?" Because once upon a time, they weren't warriors or survivors. They were just two kids who promised to protect each other. One evening, months later, Logan and Anna went back to that same cliff, the place where it all began to end. The sea looked calmer now. The city lights behind them sparkled instead of burned. Anna looked at him and smiled faintly. "You know," she said. "You never answered me back then." "About what?" he asked, pretending not to know. "When I asked if you'd protect me for the rest of my life," he chuckled. Not coldly this time, but softly, like someone who finally remembered how to breathe. "Guess I did more than that," he said. "I burned down half the city for you." She laughed. A real laugh, one that carried into the wind. "So what now?" "Protect her," she teased. He looked at her. The weight of everything. 15 years of pain, loss, vengeance, fading slowly in the glow of the setting sun. "Now," he said quietly, "we start over." And that's how it ended. Or maybe how it began again. Because the story of Logan Fraser wasn't just about revenge. It was about redemption, about remembering who you are after losing everything. When I tell this story to people, when I see their faces, their silence, I remind them everyone wants justice. But justice without mercy turns into a new kind of prison. Logan broke his chains, but he also learned to forgive himself. And that, my friends, is harder than killing any enemy. Behind him, the place is burning. Flames licking through the shattered windows. Flames licking through the shattered windows. Devouring the wreckage of a man who thought he was untouchable. The few surviving guards step aside as he passes. None of them dare to move. Some of them even drop their weapons completely because they know what they just saw wasn't human strength. It was something else. And as Logan reaches the open road, Bongo, the young man who had called him Dad, comes running toward him, battered, bloodied, but alive. He stops dead in his tracks when he sees Anna breathing. "Is she?" he starts. Logan just nods, still catching his breath. "She's alive." Bongo exhales almost in disbelief. And Eric Logan doesn't look back. He just says he won't be hurting anyone ever again. Then he gently sets Anna down inside a waiting Jeep, the same one they arrived in. His hands are shaking, not from fear, but from the adrenaline finally wearing off. For the first time in years, the storm inside him is quiet. But here's where things get deep. As they drive away, Logan stares out the window, and you can tell his mind somewhere else. He's thinking about the Frasers, the family he lost, the years of pain, and the promise he made to a little girl who never forgot him. Anna, still weak but conscious, whispers, "Logan, what happens now?" And he looks at her, the fire's reflection dancing in his eyes. "Now," he says softly, "we start over." But even as he says it, he knows the past doesn't just vanish. Every scar, every fight, every name he's crossed off, they all built him into the man he is now. As the car disappears down that lonely road, a soft breeze carries the ashes of the warehouse into the sky, like the ghosts of the past finally letting go. And from a distance, an old man watching through binoculars lowers them, a faint smirk crossing his face. He turns to the person beside him and says, "He's alive and stronger than ever." That's when it hits you. This isn't the end. It's the calm before something even bigger. Weeks have passed since that night. The city's whispers haven't died down. If anything, they've grown louder. People talk about the fire at the Dalton estate like it was divine justice. Like someone up there finally decided enough was enough. But Logan, he's not celebrating. He's just quiet. He spends his days patching up the last wounds, keeping Anna safe, and pretending the nightmares don't follow him into daylight. He still wakes up at 3 a.m., hearing his father's voice. Still tastes the smoke of that house fire from 15 years ago. One morning, he's sitting on the porch of a small, safe house outside Harbor City. A place Bongo found, far away from the chaos. Anna is inside resting and Bongo's fixing up a broken radio by the window. And then, out of nowhere, a black sedan pulls up. Smooth, silent, government plates. Logan's hand goes straight to his knife. Instinct. The car door opens and an older man steps out. Gray hair but sharp eyes. The kind of man who looks like he's seen too much but still carries himself with purpose. He walks up slow, calm. Logan Frazier. He says, voice firm but respectful. You've been busy. Logan doesn't respond. He just watches. The man extends a card. My name's Victor Kane. I worked with your father. That name, Kane. It hits Logan like a brick. He takes the card but doesn't look at it. You worked with him. My father died because someone inside leaked our location. Someone who was supposed to have his back. Kane nods slowly. I know, and that's exactly why I'm here. The air goes still. Even the trees seem to stop moving. Kane continues. Eric Dalton wasn't acting alone. He was following orders from people who wanted your family erased. What happened to you wasn't vengeance. It was a cover-up. Logan's jaw tightens. Who? Kane looks over his shoulder, cautious, then lowers his voice. The sudden conglomerate and his own family. That's when Bongo drops the wrench he was holding. It hits the wooden floor with a sharp clang. Anna, weak but awake, steps to the doorway. That's not true, she says, shaking her head. My father would never. Kane interrupts softly. Your father didn't know, but your grandfather did. The Fraser Project, the energy core your father was developing. It was stolen by the Sutton board, then handed to the Daltons for weapon testing. Your parents were silenced to bury the evidence. Logan's breathing changes slow, heavy, the kind of breath that comes before the storm, and his face goes pale. No, it can't be. My grandfather built this company from nothing. Kay nods, and he killed dozens of people to keep it that way. For a long moment, nobody says anything. You can hear the wind rustling through the dry leaves outside, the faint hum of Bongo's broken radio, and Logan's steady heartbeat like a drum in the silence. Finally, Logan stands. His voice is low, but sharp as glass. Then, this isn't over. Kane nods once. No, it's not. But you can't go in guns blazing this time. The Sutton are protected by law, media, and money. You take them head on. They'll bury you before you even get close. Logan glances at Anna. Her eyes are filled with tears and confusion. The girl he once promised to protect is now tied to the same empire that destroyed his family. He turns back to Kane. Then what's your plan? Kane steps closer. Voice dropping even lower. You expose them from the inside. Their own bloodline will tear them apart. Anna looks horrified. You want to use me? Kane doesn't flinch. I want to save you before your family burns you the way they burned his. The room goes dead quiet. Logan clenches his fists, torn between anger and resolve. This isn't the fight he wanted, but it's the one he's been walking toward his entire life. He looks at Anna, his voice almost breaking. If we do this, there's no turning back. She meets his gaze, tears welling. Then, let's finish what they started. And just like that, the story shifts. The fire of vengeance turns into something colder, sharper. The next chapter isn't about blades or fists. It's about deception, secrets, and the power behind the curtains. Because now Logan Fraser isn't just the last survivor of a massacre. He's the ghost coming for the empire that built its throne on his family's graves. The city skyline glows under a cold winter dawn. Tall glass towers glisten like shards of Ophis, and down below, Harbor City never sleeps. But in one of those towers, behind tinted windows and security gates, the Sutton family empire hums like a machine, clean, efficient, and ruthless. And somewhere deep inside that machine, a ghost has slipped in. Logan Fraser, the last of the Frasers, now walks those marble hallways dressed in a sharp black suit, hair slicked back, face calm. Nobody there knows who he really is. To them, he's Lucas Frost, a new senior security consultant hired to modernize the company's protection systems. The irony isn't lost on him. The man they're paying to keep them safe is the one planning to destroy them. Kane helped him craft the alias, forged records, credentials, even a backstory that holds up under scrutiny. Every move was calculated, every step rehearsed. But the hardest part of the plan wasn't the disguise. It was walking past the portrait in the Sutton lobby. The one of Harold Sutton and his grandfather smiling proudly in a golden frame. The man responsible for everything. The man whose signature erased the Fraser name from history. And as Logan walks by, the camera of the story zooms in. His jaw tightens, but he keeps walking, controlled cold. Upstairs, the boardroom is alive with chatter. Men in suits, women in heels. Everyone talking numbers and market shares. But Anna's at the head of the table now. No longer the frightened Aries we saw before. Her posture is firm, her tone steady. She's taken her father's seat and turned it into her battlefield. Quarterly profits are up 15%. She says, but the supply, percent. She says, but the supply. Chain to the Western District needs a full audit. I want clean books before the next review. The board murmurs in agreement. A few heads nodding. Then one of the older men, Raymond Holt, the CFO, leans back. Now, here's where the tone changes. The next day, they're on a plane. Logan, Anna, Bongo, and two of Kane's field agents. The ocean below stretches like black glass, endless and quiet. You can feel the tension in every heartbeat as the island comes into view. Lightning flickers over the horizon. A storm's brewing. Nature itself matching the fury of what's about to unfold. The facility looks nothing like a lab, more like a fortress. High walls, surveillance towers, automated defenses, and at the center, a silver structure shaped like a spiral. That's where Harold Sutton has been hiding. Kane's voice comes through the come again. We have to move fast. He's not just testing DNA manipulation anymore. He's experimenting with human augmentation. If he finishes this, there won't be another chance. Logan loads his weapon and looks at Anna. You don't have to come with me. She shakes her head. If I don't face him, I'll never be free. The boat hits the shore. Rain starts falling. The jungle hums with thunder. They move in silence, cutting through guards, bypassing gates. Every step takes them closer to the truth and to the man who started everything. Inside the corridors are cold, lit by blue lights. Machines hum with life. And there, behind a wall of reinforced glass, stands Harold Sutton. Older friar, but still sharp as ever. His eyes widen the moment he sees Logan. Fraser, he says almost admiringly. You look just like your father. Logan lowers his weapon slowly, and you look like a man who ran from his sins. Harold smiles faintly. I didn't run. I evolved. Behind him, the lab flickers to life. Vats of glowing fluid, outlines of human forms suspended in tanks. Project Seraphim. Anna steps forward, trembling. "Grandfather, what did you do?" He turns to her, calm, almost gentle. "What I always promised, to make humanity stronger, to make you stronger." Logan's voice cuts through the air. "You murdered innocent people. You destroyed families for this?" Harold doesn't blink. "Progress demands sacrifice. Your father knew that." Logan's hands tighten on his gun. "My father wanted to heal people, not play God." The storm outside roars, lightning flashing through the glass. And in that moment, everything breaks. Harold presses a button on his console. Alarms blare. The tanks begin to drain, releasing shapes. Half human, half machine. His creations. "You wanted revenge," Harold says, smiling coldly. "Then come and earn it." And that's how the final battle begins. Not just between men, but between what humanity was and what greed tried to make it. The rain crashes down like bullets. The jungle around the facility bends beneath the storm's fury. Trees twisting, lightning splitting the sky wide open. Every flash of white reveals shadows darting between the wreckage. Logan, Anna, and what's left of their team. Inside the fortress, red alarms scream. The hallways flicker with emergency lights, painting everything in a pulse of blood red. Logan moves first. Every motion sharp, silent, calculated. He's no longer just fighting men. He's cutting through monsters. Harold Sutton's creations. Human experiments born from greed and fear. Each one is faster, stronger, but soulless. They charge like beasts, metal gleaming beneath their skin. Logan meets them hidden, his fists cracking like thunder. His energy flaring white hot. Pure inner strength burning through the cold steel of their bodies. Every strike carries years of pain. Every movement, the echo of his family, screams from 15 years ago. Anna stays behind him, eyes wide but determined, her hand gripping a pistol. She's not just watching him fight. She's watching the truth she's tried so hard to avoid come alive in front of her. "This isn't science," she whispers, trembling. "It's madness." Logan doesn't answer. He can't. He's locked in with one of the larger mutants. A hulking creation with half its face mechanical. They crash through walls. This sound like an earthquake in a cage. Finally, Logan plants his foot, channels his strength, and roars. The impact sends shockwaves through the floor. The creature collapses. He exhales, chest heaving. "Where's Sutton?" And points down the corridor, the main lab center tower. They move, and as they run, the alarms distort. Replaced by Harold Sutton's voice echoing through the intercom, cold and mocking. "You think this ends with me, Logan? You think killing me will change anything? The world wants what I'm building." Logan shouts back, his voice echoing through the corridors. "The world doesn't want your monsters." Sutton laughs, a sound both brittle and proud. "Then why do governments fund them? Why do they line up to buy my research? You call it horror. I call it evolution." They burst into the main chamber. And there he is, Harold Sutton, standing before a massive cylindrical chamber filled with glowing blue liquid. Inside floats something human-shaped, connected by a web of cables and wires. "What is that?" Anna gasps. Harold turns smiling. "The next generation. My legacy. Perfection without weakness, without mortality." Logan raises his gun. "You call this perfection?" Harold steps closer, unflinching. "I call it survival. You lost your family because they refused to adapt. I didn't make that mistake." The storm outside crashes harder. Lightning slices through the glass dome above. Shards raining down like stars. Logan fires. The bullet hits Harold's shoulder, spinning him back. He laughs through the pain, blood dripping down his arm. "You can't stop what's already begun," he says, reaching for a switch. But Logan's faster. He lunges forward, slamming him against the console. Sparks fly. "You ended lives for this." Logan growls for power. Harold sneers, spitting blood for humanity. "Humanity died the day you started playing God." Logan punches him again hard enough to send him crashing into the glass chamber. The container fractures, blue liquid spilling out across the floor like a flood. The figure inside twitches alive. Anna screams. "Logan, stop. It's activating." The cables detach. The body stands. Pale skin, blank eyes, veins glowing faintly blue. It looks almost human, almost him. Harold laughs even as he bleeds. "Do you see it? I made it from your DNA. You're my proof, Logan, my greatest experiment." The creature steps forward, mirroring Logan's every move like a reflection brought to life. For the first time, Logan hesitates. He looks into its face and sees fragments of himself. His anger, his pain, his rage. Harold's voice rises above the thunder. "Kill him. Take his place." And the thing obeys. The battle that follows isn't just fists and fury. It's soul against shadow. Every strike Logan lands, the clone adapts. Every counter, it learns. Sparks burst. Metal cracks. The floor quakes beneath them. Anna screams his name, Logan, but he doesn't hear her anymore. He's lost in it, trapped in the mirror of his own violence. Then in a flash, the clone pins him, hands crushing against his throat. Logan gasps for air, eyes dimming, and then he sees Anna through the haze, holding a shattered electrical cable. Their eyes meet. He gives the slightest nod. She thrusts the cable forward. Electricity surges through the clone, through Logan, through everything. The lab explodes in light. When the flash fades, the clone is gone. In light. When the flash fades, the clone is gone. A smoking shell. Logan lies motionless, barely breathing. Anna crawls to him, crying, shaking him desperately. "Logan, please open your eyes, please." Finally, he does. Just barely. His voice is weak, but his words cut through the silence. It's over. Harold, broken and burned, drags himself across the floor, trying to reach a final switch. "No," he wheezes. "You can't stop evolution." Logan picks up a steel rod and slams it through the console, shattering it. Sparks burst, lights flicker, alarms die. Then he looks at Harold, the man who stole everything from him, and whispers, "You did this to yourself." The final burst of light swallows them all. As the core reactor ignites, Anna drags Logan out just as the facility erupts. The shockwave lighting up the stormy sky like a dying star. The island burns, and with it every secret, every experiment, every sin of the Sutton and Dalton empires. By the time the rain finally stops, the only sound left is the crackle of fire and the ocean's soft breath. Anna looks at Logan lying on the sand. He's barely conscious. "You kept your promise," she says through tears. He smiles faintly. Eye shelf open. "Told you I'd protect you for the rest of my life." And then silence. The waves crash gently against the shore, carrying away the ashes of an empire that thought it could outlive humanity itself. The storm finally breaks at dawn. What's left of the sky glows pale gray, the kind off color that makes you wonder if the sun's just too tired to rise. The waves crash slow and heavy against the island's charred shore, washing over metal scraps, shattered glass, and the ghosts of what used to be Harold Sutton's empire. And there, lying among the ruins, is Logan. He's breathing, but just barely. His body is broken, his clothes soaked with theater and blood. Anna kneels beside him, pressing her trembling hands against his chest, whispering his name over and over like a prayer. "Logan, stay with me. Please don't do this to me now." He opens his eyes for a second. The faintest flicker of life in the gray light. His lips move, but the words barely come out. Did we stop him? Anna looks back at the smoldering wreck of the lab. The flames finally dying beneath the rain. Yeah, she whispers. You stopped him. He nods weakly, a hint of relief softening his face. But behind them, the jungle is still to still. The silence doesn't feel peaceful. It feels watchful. Anna senses it too. She turns sharply, scanning the Retaliation, heart pounding. We're not alone. Then a sound. Not footsteps, a mechanical hum. Faint, broken, but alive. She grabs a gun, her hand shaking. Don't move, she whispers to Logan. I'll check it out. She steps through the trees, each one scorched black from the explosion. And there, half buried under fallen branches, is a Bodhi. Not Harold, something else. It's one of the failed clones, or what's left of it. Its chest flickers, faintly, with blue light. The same eerie glow as the fluid in Sutton's lab. Anna stares, realizing the truth. The explosion didn't destroy everything. The experiment isn't dead. It's spreading. She stumbles back, terrified, as the thing's hand twitches once, then twice. She raises her gun, but then stops because when it turns its head toward her, its eyes, though blank, are filled with something human. Confused? Scared? Help me. It whispers in a voice that sounds too much like Logan's. Anna freezes. The wind howls through the trees, carrying the smell of ash and ozone. She lowers the gun slowly. Oh my God, she murmurs. What did you do, Harold? Behind her, Logan struggles to sit up, coughing hard. Anna, what's happening? She turns toward him, her face pale. He didn't just make one. That's when the ground rumbles, not thunder. Movement from beneath the earth through cracks and wreckage. More faint blue lights flicker to lifelike dying embers, reigniting one by one. Anna's voice shakes. There's more of them. Logan's face hardens. He forces himself to his feet, every muscle screaming in pain. Then we finish this. But before he can move, the horizon shifts. Helicopters, at least 3 of them, approaching fast. The insignia painted on their sides isn't military. It's corporate. The same Dalton Sutton logo Anna once wore on her lab coat. Anna's stomach drops. They came back. Logan watches the choppers descend, soldiers rappelling down in black armor. He turns to Anna, breathing hard. You have to go. Get off this island. What? I'm not leaving you here. He grabs her hand, eyes fierce despite the pain. You did your part. You got the truth out. I'll make sure they don't bury it again. Logan, go, he yells, pushing her toward the shore. The soldiers fan out fast, guns raised, barking orders. The lead one speaks into a radio. We have survivors, proceeding with containment. Containment, not rescue. Anna runs toward the wrecked boat, tears streaming down her face, while Logan stands his ground, fists clenched, surrounded by smoke and shadow. He's exhausted, bleeding, outnumbered. But when the soldiers close in, something in him reignites. That same white-hot fury that's carried him through everything. The leader shouts, "On your knees." Logan lifts his head slowly, blood dripping from his jaw, and says through gritted teeth, "You want the monster. You built him." And then he moves. The beach erupts into chaos. Gunfire, smoke, shouting. Anna looks back once, just in time to see him charge through the storm of bullets like a force of nature, refusing to die quietly. She screams his name, but the wind swallows it whole. By the time the choppers lift off again, the entire coastline is on fire. Hours later, Anna's boat drifts away from the island. She watches as the flames shrink into the horizon. Her hands are still trembling, her mind replaying every second. Harold's madness, the clones, Logan's last stand. She opens her bag and pulls out the flash drive, the one Logan gave her before everything went to hell. On it, all the data, their recordings, the proof of what Sutton did. She stares at it for a long moment, then whispers to herself, "The world has to know." As the sun finally breaks through the clouds, lighting up the endless gray ocean, she closes her eyes and for the first time smiles. Not because she's safe, but because Logan's sacrifice wasn't in vain. But deep beneath the burning island, in the flooded remains of the laboratory, a single containment pod blinks back to life. A shadow moves inside, and as the camera fades to black, one last sound echoes. A heartbeat, slow, steady, alive. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation, so please share your opinions in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated on this.